So that's probably the way I would interpret it.
You're right.
It's very terrible when the people who are quiet and didn't say anything, but one day they come back.
No.
It's
Well, it's kind of,
explode.
right. You look at the United States during the prior to the Revolutionary War, when the United States got its independence from Britain, the British had put so much pressure on it was the taxes, they were taxing the colonists so much, and the colonists they were just tired of all the taxation and the money that they were having to dole out to the British, and they weren't getting anything good in exchange for all the taxes that they had to pay. So that ultimately led to the people who became the soldiers and protesters and beat the British. So they came up in arms and fought the British. So they may have been complacent at one time, but then...
May I explain to them in time?
Mm-hmm. Let me see if I can get one.
For example,
You want me to write it up there? Would you like me to write
the sentence.
the same, what I said? Okay. When the word turns,
He is 88 years old.
I don't want to put when.
In the party come here to sing.
A person is normally quiet. Speaks up due to speaks up due to unusual to
Explode. Emotion. Exploding emotion.
exploding emotion.
Yeah.
Speaks up due to and explode. That's a good one. And exploding emotion. I like that.
Exploding
It's like
emotion.
emotion. It's like
I think
okay, and you can look at it. Okay, so you have a woman and a husband, and the woman is being abused by the husband
Yes.
and beaten. She's always taken this, and then all of a sudden one day she's had enough. Enough's enough, and she fights back.
yes.
She fights back.
I think in this room have one. Mr. Bill.
Mr. Pugh.
But we don't
No.
speak up to. Exactly.
So Mr. Pugh, he's normally very quiet, but there's going to be something that happens that makes him laugh or just break out.
Just kidding. Usually when quiet, but when he explode, he is really so kind.
He's a kind, kind, quiet gentleman. Yes.
Different.
Different. So a person who is normally quiet speaks up to an exploding emotion. Thank you, Nan. Oh, I like that. So, you offer good topics for conversation.
Yes.
Yes.
L-O-R.
Thank you.
L-O-D-I-N-G is
When I was home, I at home, I find out the dictionary
Uh-huh.
and have more dictionary.
You've got more dictionaries?
Yeah.
Lots of piles of dictionaries?
Yes,
Oh, good.
because my daughter, he's educated, MBA,
An MBA?
yes,
Oh, wow.
and she more dictionary to me a lot.
A lot.
So I have how I find out the big word on it.
That's dictionaries and thesauruses are wonderful. Does anyone know have you used a thesaurus? An English, a thesaurus?
The sauce,
Thesaurus, and I'll spell it out.
sorry.
or sauce, what do you say?
S-O.
I think is that how it's spelled, thesaurus? So that is a book like a dictionary, but it'll give you similar synonyms.
Synonym.
It'll give you synonyms for different words. So if you don't want to use the only word that you can think of for a word, but you want different ideas. So thesaurus, I like using a thesaurus sometimes when I'm writing because it helps me draw out some different words. Any questions on that, or?
ก็สบายส่งไลน์ผมติดต่อ
Teacher, how is it different between cut corner, cut short, and cut the long story short?
Cut.
There is three idioms. Is it like
Corner.
cut corner,
Cut corners,
cut short,
cut short.
and cut the long story short?
Okay, so cut corners. Cut story short.
story
And cut short. Three, they have
Cut
three,
corners, cut story short,
and cut short.
and just cut short.
gotcha
I saw three idioms.
Okay, so cut corners. Okay, so cut corners is when usually I think of it as when you're putting something together, whether words, whether you're writing, or whether you're trying to build something. So in writing, if you cut corners, it means you're leaving out some words. You're trying to condense. Cutting corners is condensing, is making something smaller.
Condensing.
Condense.
How do
Condense is to,
Condensed milk. Condensed. Yeah,
condense.
condensed.
Condense, okay, so it's to make smaller. So condensed milk, the little cans of milk,
Yeah.
they take, and they take moisture out of it. They condense it, they make it
Make the
smaller.
milk thicker.
Yeah, thicker. It condenses it.
Condensed.
So when you have you're reading a long book, a big book, you can sometimes get a condensed version of it. So it just gives you the main items in the book. So that's condensed, or it's cut corners in the book.
Shortened.
Cut story short, so that would be cutting the story short, would be to condense it and make it smaller.
It means summarize.
Summarize, yes,
To get
exactly.
the main idea.
Yes, summarize. So this would be, see, you already know it.
To sum up.
You got
To
the
sum
word.
up.
summarize. So cut short is to summarize. Cut corners is to condense. I don't have that spelled right. It doesn't look right. Cut corners is to condense. Cut short is, okay, so if we're talking, you could say, let's cut this short. Let's not extend it. Let's cut it short. Let's keep it concise. Let's condense it. So all of it comes down to condensing and summarizing. Yeah, so summarize would be used more in a writing or a verbal sense to summarize. But sometimes cut corners can be used in construction of a building. The developers or the builders, in order to make more profit, more money, they will cut corners. They will not put in as many electrical outlets, as much electricity, or they might not, they'll do something to not cause more expense. So they'll cut corners. We've had bridges in the United States a long, long time ago. The cement people would make bad batches of cement because they wouldn't put as much cement in them, in the concrete mix, as they should have. So the cement, when they build something, it falls. You know, so that's an idea. That's something called cutting corners, where you're not getting the most for your money.
Save your money.
Save some money.
Money for investment.
Cut corners. Well, if somebody's trying to make money on the side, they're cutting corners so that they can make more money. Can you think of an example of that?
Yes. Could you please give a exact percentage for cut corners?
Cutting corners? Okay. Okay, the bridge development company cuts corners. Cuts corners to make a bigger profit. Or more money. So the bridge builders might be hiring fewer people. They might be not using the best technology. There might be various things that they're using in order to, or not using, to cut corners, to make more profits. So that would be one example. Let's see. Cuts corners.
Teacher,
Yeah.
my idea is when we have the budget, so to develop the bridge, and then we cut corner our budget or save the budget.
To say,
Yeah,
yeah,
to make profit.
to make profit.
Yeah.
Yes, yes. To cut corners
Yeah.
on the budget to make a profit. It
Yeah.
all is usually involved in profit building, would be where you would cut corners. or to, you could use it from the standpoint that in government or like the city, because they have a limited amount of money, they have to figure out what they can cut to fit it into the budget, to fit a project into a budget. Does that make sense? So this city
Oh, wonder.
has
Yeah.
to work on its budget.
Yeah.
Um, It may need to cut corners, which would be to cut costs.
To reduce cost.
In order to keep within the budget. Oops. And I don't know, that's within the budget. So the city has to work on its budget. So Bangkok has a certain budget, so much money that they can spend. But there's people that want to spend and have all these projects. So the city, may need to cut corners, to cut costs, to keep within the budget. So in this sense, it's not defrauding, or it's giving people as much as they want, but still stay within the budget. So they might have to cut projects. They might have to cut a project out this year. They might be able to do it next year, next year's budget, but this year, because of budget constraints, they can't do it. So you could say budget constraints. Budgets. Everyone has a budget. Will you have a budget?
Can I say if some company have a plan to make a new product and they have a lot of process.
They have a big process.
Some company want to be a number one about new product, and they have a lot of process about the new product. Each process have to do many times and many budget. So the committee of
The budget committee?
the committee of the company decide to cut corner the process.
They decide to cut. They need to cut corners in order to proceed or to process their,
To cut the process, you need to cut corner.
cut corners, to cut the process. Well, yeah, cut the process, cut ideas that might go into development. Cut the process,
cut the factors, cut the
let's see. So the company, let's phrase it then,
A big company,
a big company.
one big company want to be a number one about the new products.
Okay, so shall I write this down as you're saying it then? Okay, so a big company wants to be wants to be
And
a
want to be a number one of the new
wants to be
product.
the number one,
Of the new product.
be the number one producer. Would be producer? Producer
In this year
producer of a new
product.
product this year.
Yes,
This year. Okay, so that's the sentence that you just told me. So you read it from right here. Read that.
After the committee discussed about the process of the new product, there are a lot of process. So they decided to cut corner the process in order to save the
Okay.
time and
And
money.
money. So the budget, because there's usually a budget committee. The budget committee.
Yeah,
I think that might have one.
yeah, right.
The budget committee
Decide.
has decided to cut corners?
The process.
Has decided to cut,
Cut
is that what you want to use, is cut the process?
of the production.
Of production.
In order
In order
to save the time
to save time and money.
and money. Okay, this is okay.
Yeah, okay, so that's good. So now we can kind of go through, because these are your words that we've written down. So a big company wants to be the number one producer of a new product this year. The budget committee has decided to cut the process of production in order to save money, to save money,
Save time and money.
save money,
Save time.
time. Yeah, time
This
and
is
money.
okay.
Okay, so all right, so when you say to cut the process of production, okay, so you have a production going on, but we've got to identify what in that production.
So there are a lot of production.
Yeah,
Number one, analysis the customer. For example, analysis the customer to inquiry send the inquiry to the customer. Try to find, this is the process. Try to find the demand and supply in the market. That is the process, I think.
so they're wanting input from the customer on what,
Send the require, for example.
an inquiry,
Send the inquiry
inquiry,
to the customer, the same customer, and to distribute the example for you for use free. The customer by tasting.
So free demonstration.
This is a process. I mean, that is a process.
Okay, so the budget committee has decided to cut the process of production in order to save time and money. The company will I'm trying to think how they do this in a company that, the company will ask or inquire, the company will
Research.
inquire,
Uh-huh.
Inquire. the company will inquire with its customers as to their needs. Needs and requests and desires, or let's just put it and their needs. Does that make sense? The company will inquire with its customers as to their needs. Inquire. Or we'll send an inquiry. We'll send an inquiry to its as to needs. Oh, we don't even need to put as to their needs, we just need as to needs. Needs and desires and so there's something that the customers might need, but then there's also something that this looks like P, that they desire, that they would want. So desire is something that, oh, I would really like to have this. Need is, I really need this. You know, so it's two, there's a desire and a need. So,
Whenever did the big company necessary, when we have a project, we use like a big company want to launch. You used to heard a launch.
the large,
A launch.
launch a company,
That's not launch new product.
launching new products.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you use launch. And then,
Yeah,
yeah. And
Yeah,
this,
so-
this is being described the launch.
launch.
Yeah.
Okay, the budget committee has decided to process. Company will send an inquiry to needs to and desires for launching,
Yeah, launching. Yeah.
for launching
Uh-huh.
its new product.
Yeah.
Good.
But teacher, this word to cut corners is always used in the bad way.
It's in the background.
Bad way.
Bad way?
Yes. For example, for construction, you will place something
Yeah. Typically,
in the bad way.
in the back,
Yeah.
yeah,
Always
typically
use it
cutting
in the back.
corners, if I use the term cut corners,
Yeah.
oh, I'm gonna cut corners. It's usually in a negative sense.
Yes, negative sense.
Negatives,
Yes.
usually, yeah. But if you are doing a project, a big, huge project,
Yes.
then you might need to cut corners, meaning
Cut costs.
cut costs.
Yes.
Cut corners is to cut costs. So it can be both, but
But you don't think that it's dangerous or safety?
it could be, it could be. It could be taken as